All right, hey everybody, how's it going? I did 4 videos on Richard Kane's court case. I read through a bunch of the court documents, and it started to get a little bit redundant. They repeat a lot of stuff, and I just didn't finish the rest of the videos. I would have had 4 more videos that were like 45 minutes to an hour long, and I didn't think that it would really be necessary for me to do 4 more videos just reading that. I posted the link on a couple of those, I think all of them, but I'm not sure. The link to that court document is in those videos, and you can click on that and read the rest of it if you like. I got kind of sidetracked by this new little bit of information from counterdarkness.org. counterdarkness.org. It's a website that is very detailed with a lot of the information that has to do with I mean everything, but it goes over non-consensual human experimentation, gang stalking, a lot of things. This goes way in depth. But where I left off on the last video, I did one video of this. I did it Sunday morning. I had hardly slept. I was still trying to wake up. I was having a rough time with that. So I thought I'd try reading some of this again. I haven't gone any further than I did on that video. And I thought I'd just read through some more of it and see how that goes. Now I just got this book, and this book has to do with this paperwork here and the issues that are going on there. This is Jerome Corsi's newest book called Killing the Deep State. And the Deep State, the CIA, FBI, the other government acronym groups that we might not even know exist, you know. They might call themselves something, but we don't know what it is. Some of those folks that we don't even know their name or their position, what they do, I believe are running some of this stuff. And unfortunately, our large corporations are multinational or international corporations that don't have a specific interest in our country. They have a specific interest in growing their business. And a lot of our deep state agents, I believe, have been part of helping the forward agenda. I didn't say that right. Been helping with the agenda to move those corporations further and not keep in mind the best interest of the American citizens. That's what this book is about, and that's what a lot of this information on counterdarkness.org goes over. And some of the tactics that they're using to silence whistleblowers, what they call dissidents, are noted here in this information. So I'm reading this for the first time, like I said, and I just thought I'd share some of it with you all. All right, where I left off, the last sentence I think I read was, inducing a government philosophy to persecute whistleblowers, the truth has been labeled treason, while treason is protected by national security excuses. We've seen that with the people in the FBI recently that have been fired. There will be more firings to come. They did some very treasonous things, and it has affected my life personally. And that's why I'm reading this stuff, why I'm going through it. I would have never researched this or even known anything about any of this if I hadn't been a targeted individual for, I don't even know how many years now. At least 10, minimum 10. There were a lot of things going on before that, and actually throughout my whole life. But that's part of a whole other thing. I've just been lucky enough to be the recipient of different types of targeting, I guess. It says treason is an understatement of what military and intel agencies are doing. You know, and that's true. Being former military myself, it's hard to say, but I understand, and I understood when I was in the military that there's, you know, in any large group, I've said this before, I apologize if you heard me say this before, but in any large group, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a school system, library system, the police department, the fire department, the military, um, anything, you know. What's something odd? Tupperware parties. People that run Tupperware or used to do Tupperware parties back in the day. They're a large group. So in any large group, you have your good guys, your bad guys, and you have all the people in the middle that don't really know what's going on. The good guys are fighting for the right thing, and the bad guys are trying to ruin everything for everybody else. You know, it's not that simple, but they're basically the narcissistic type of people that will do anything, say anything to anyone to get the desired outcome that will help them the most, period. If everybody else falls down, forget them. It's the survival of the fittest. That's the way they look at it. You know, the good guys are looking out for, you know, they're looking out for themselves too, but they're also keeping the interest of other people in mind. You know, and then you got the people in the middle that they're just doing their job. They don't even get that there's this battle basically going on to do the right thing, to do the wrong thing, and those people are clashing a lot. And a lot of times it's pretty covert. You don't see it, pretty subtle, but this happens in any large group. So that's why as a targeted individual, it's really tough to not think of the military or the police department as, you know, as a whole that's doing this to you, because they're definitely involved. The Department of Defense is responsible for all of the military, all of the intel agencies. They're under, all of them are under the Department of Defense, or Department of Justice. But I know that not everybody in those positions is a bad guy. There's people that don't want anything to do with what's been going on. If they knew the truth, that they would do something about it. So much of this is classified that they're not privy to that information. So they don't really know what's going on. I truly believe that there are a lot of people in the military that, and in the police department, if they knew exactly what was going on with a lot of this stuff and what the final outcome was of a targeted individual, they wouldn't have anything to do with it. They would stand up, they would say something, they would organize, and you know, that's where I stand on that. And I could be wrong. I hope I'm not. But you know, I know of like 10 different people in my social networking group that are prior military, that are targeted individuals. Marine Corps, Army, Navy. I can't think of any Coast Guard right now off the top of my head. But yeah, Air Force. You know, Ken Peartree was a senior master sergeant in the Air Force. It's an E8. That's you can only get one more promotion being enlisted, then you're a chief. And your senior master sergeant's pretty, you know, you look up to that guy. He's a targeted individual. So, you know, it's not the entire military. Just please understand that. Okay. Let's see, then this goes in kind of deep here. Manufactured presidents and prime ministers, propping up blackmail and control of dictators, overthrowing of governments and dictators, sale of arms, proliferation of war, injustice in the law system. That's a big one right there. Injustice in the law system. I'm going to get through like 2 pages of this probably. Injustice of the law system. So we used to have peace officers, and they have morphed into enforcement officers. There's still public relations campaigns they have going on that they'll show that they, are helping with bicycle helmets and this and that. But in the long run, me personally, I don't see a lot of serving the public. I see a lot of people getting tickets. I see a lot of people getting arrested for things that have been intentionally escalated. I have personally witnessed like live phishing schemes, phishing scams, kind of like if somebody sends you an email that says this, I'm a prince in some country and I've been extradited to whatever area and I need a safe place for my money, and you seem to be the person that I want to send my money to. I'm sure you've all got one of those emails. Unfortunately, because people being incarcerated has become a very large business, there are groups that consider they call themselves different things. They call themselves fishermen or hunters. They refer to themselves that way. And when they say that they're fishing, that means that they are literally out instigating people into acting out in criminal ways, and having the police department nearby so they can go ahead and swoop them up and take them off. That person will work on an individual for a while. They'll antagonize them. They'll target them. They'll do a lot of different things that are very covert, very manipulative to a person to get them to act out. And it seems to be working very well because quite a few people are going to prison that should not be going to prison. But yet it keeps filling up the cells. People keep making money, and investors are happy when their stocks go up. Message me if you want to know more about what I'm talking about, fishing or hunting, the terms they use. Suppression of enlightened paradigms, proliferation of darkening paradigms. I don't even know what some of this means. Patient progression of agendas through numerous generations. Patient progression of agendas through numerous generations. Orchestrated social events to query public perception. I mean, school shootings, active shooters. If you put somebody through this MK Ultra type trauma-based mind control, you can split their personality and make them react to certain triggers that have been used on them over and over and over and over throughout their life, during a traumatic part of their life. When something horrible is going on, one of their parents just died, they got divorced, think of anything that's traumatic in your life, your pet passes away. During that time, a trigger, so a word, a color, a sound, will be repeated to that person intentionally during that time of stress. So every time they go through a time of stress, after repetition, if they hear that noise or see that color or hear that word, it's going to bring up all those other times of stress. So say you've gone through 20 significant traumatic experiences in your life, and every time that you've gone through that in your life, and this happens, unfortunately, one of those triggers is used over and over and over. You don't even realize this is happening. On the 20th time of this traumatic thing happening, and that noise, color, word, whatever they are using as your trigger pops up, you're going to revisit all of those traumatic experiences. and it's all going to build into one moment. And that's when a human being can't take anymore. A human being can only take so much. Everybody's got their breaking point. And that's part of what they're talking about right there. When these are used on targeted individuals for an orchestrated event, Myron May, Alexei Alexander, this latest school shooting in Florida, I really believe that this kid had been going through some kind of trauma-based mind control. If he was even the shooter. There's still a lot of talk about that. I haven't heard much of it lately, but I don't believe 100% that he was even the shooter. People were saying that he was wearing full military gear, battle rattle, what we call it. And then they found him, he just walked out with the rest of the class, and the story's not adding up to me. And in my past, over the last 20 years, a lot of things like this, I'll see on the news, I'll hear stories, and it just doesn't add up to me. And I'll explain what I think possibly happened or what didn't happen. And usually, a few years later, guess what comes out? Exactly what I was saying. I'm not some kind of mind reader, or I don't have the technology for that, or some kind of psychic or anything. I just have a different way of looking at things, and I question a lot of things. And a lot of times when I question things, it turns out that I'm right. 9/11 was one of them. I called that weeks after it happened. Okay. When exposing a crime is treated as committing a crime, you are being ruled by criminals. Edward Snowden. Man, he's going through some stuff right now. Kind of up in the air about him right now. Can't figure out if he's a white hat or a black hat, or if he's all about himself, if he's just trying to help the United States, or what his ultimate goal is. But keep watching Q. Keep listening to Q and the people that that are decoding his drops. Probably figure that out pretty soon. See if they see what kind of information they come up with. Taking away rights through slow drip, false flag fueled government policy, false mental illness diagnosis. I don't know how many targeted individuals are in a mental facility right now for explaining what has been going on with them. There's people leaving their house at the exact same time I leave my house. They back out at the exact moment. Not just once, but for 20 days in a row. When I wake up, as soon as I open my eyes and I lift my head up, the lawnmower next door starts. Not once, but 20 days in a row. When I drive down the street, people back out. They're going to back into me right at the exact moment. When I'm pulling up to a stop sign, cars will come speeding up and slam on their brakes right at the stop sign. When I get out to the main street, pull out into traffic, there seems to be 10, 15 white and red cars that are just following me all throughout town. That's happened with, I don't know how many of you just listened to this and said, yeah, that's the exact same thing that's going on with me. Well, if people are explaining this organized stalking that I just explained, that's just one tiny little part of it. They're not investigating that. They're locking people up, saying, oh, sorry, you're crazy. You're crazy. And you're like, wait, I'm just explaining to you what's been going on in a repetitious fashion. It happens all the time. This can't be normal. Nope, you're crazy. You go into the mental facility, take these pills. Goes on and on and on. I mean, the people that are getting V2K, you tell somebody you're hearing voices in your head, especially a year ago before any of this information, well, I shouldn't say before any of this information out. I've known this for about a year now that I've been targeted. So I don't know how long the information about V2K has been out. Corporate masters, corporate hidden hand, cashless society, surveillance on all purchases, restriction of purchases by authority, sophisticated global surveillance network, compartmentalization of the conspiracy. I keep talking about compartmentalization. If only a certain number of people up at the top understand what the final goal is, and they disseminate a whole bunch of information throughout all the other channels, all the people down here can basically be good guys and think that they're working on an objective to rid the country of terrorists. When meanwhile, the people that are running this aren't really trying to get rid of terrorists, trying to keep their budget going by inventing reasons or inserting events into people's lives and manipulating them, knowing what criteria needs to be evaluated to put somebody on a domestic terrorist watch list under FISA 702 or 12333. I watched it happen to me. Okay, sophisticated global surveillance network. Okay, so that sophisticated global surveillance network was called Five Eyes. I'm sure there's some other things going on, but there's a thing called Five Eyes, and it's where 5 different countries linked together to basically share information and make this huge network where everything was connected. And that has recently been shut down. That will be in the news soon, I'm sure. Well, we'll see. We'll see if it ever comes out. But that was recently shut down. Compartment is... oh, I already read that one and I missed that it was important. Okay, compartmentalization of the conspiracy. Targeted individuals, 21st century targeting. I mean, that's the biggest one for me right there, being a targeted individual. That's... An artificial intelligence operated electromagnetic surveillance grid monitors and psych profiles the global population after data analysis. A covert directed energy weapon system is used to assault those who are most resistant to brainwashing and those most capable of opposition. Check. Manchurian mind control assets in government, lifelong groomed assets for their position. I almost think that they had some intentions for me, and I just was too resistant. I asked why too many times. I didn't just go along with everything. Somebody was doing something messed up, I'd say, man, that's messed up. What are you doing that for? So one of the guys I used to work with at the fire department called me kindergarten honest. You know, like a kindergartner will just tell you everything. You know. Like, Mommy had a friend over yesterday, but it wasn't Uncle Jeremy. You know, that kind of stuff. Protection of dirty industry, promotion of corrupt industry over revolutionary and positive alternatives. Oh, example, hemp. Yeah. Thanks, William Randolph Hearst. The name of the neighborhood I live in is Glenhurst. Protection, agendas to thwart public domain progress in the areas of science, particularly frequency science. Electronic control grid sources have strategically used deceptive rationalizations packaged for government insiders to secretly curtail the public domain implementations of direct energy technologies. The public cannot handle these technologies or it will disrupt the business sector, such as Big Pharma. Big Pharma, I just did a video. Donald Trump has up on their website a link right up at the top, the the White House website, right up at the top right. And click on the opioid epidemic. It'll take you to another website that has some stories, has some videos, people that have gone through the opioid epidemic and have been affected by it personally. And I actually just got done doing a video and uploading it to that site because that has personally affected my life. And I've spoken out about that quite a bit. And I'm sure that didn't go over very well with Big Pharma either. You know, a lot of the stuff that I was posting when I was in the military, when I was a journalist, I was on Facebook. I probably had 1,500 friends on Facebook. There were politicians, there were other firefighters, police officers. It was a weird collection of people: skateboarders, band members, all kinds of walks of life. And I would just put everything out there, being kindergarten honest. And that was one of the things I spoke out quite a bit about. Wish I would have never deleted that web page or that Facebook page. The deepest truth is at a disadvantage due to deception being able to appear more rational. This happens as a result of truth being static and potentially outrageous, while psychological warfare options include intentional deceit with rationality as part of its design. Omnisense. Oh, that's from... Okay, so that's a YouTube page, Omnisense. I clicked on that, watched a couple videos today, viewed information. I can't believe there's not more views on that, but this is still kind of just getting out there. People are just starting to know on a larger scale what MK Ultra is, what COINTELPRO is, what gang stalking is, what a targeted individual is. You know, I'm finally running into some people that aren't targeted that know what it is, that aren't perps. Well, I don't think they are, but I can usually spot one of those guys from a mile away now after being stalked for so long. And it almost seems like in some instances, I know I haven't been taken off this list, but I think they realized that the gang stalking and the direct conversation, I won't say doesn't bother me anymore, but I've learned not only to deal with it, but use it to my advantage by asking certain questions, or asking questions in a certain way, and having conversation with some of these people to basically set them up to tell me something. You know, I just figured the puzzle out. And so they quit using that on me so much. I got some direct conversation the other day at the batting cages, you know, and I got some auto mobbing, but it's not being used as much on me. No, I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent. I might get a little lost here. Okay, bastardization of science. People being paid off to come up with certain scientific conclusions instead of coming up with the actual conclusion. Bastardization of spirituality, control religious institutions. A lot of the churches have been infiltrated. Not everybody at your church is a Christian or whatever your church is. They're there trying to take over. Dumbing down of education, infiltration and covert mind control of UFOlogy through contactees channels. So I've heard a lot of people that think that they have been abducted by aliens have actually been abducted by some of our deep state agents, and you know, they'll dress up in the whole outfit and have it really realistic and make these people think that they're contacted by aliens. Now that's not, I'm not saying that I don't believe that aliens can exist or do exist, because our universe is so huge that it would almost be ignorant and arrogant to think that we are the only intelligent life form. I don't even know if we're intelligent as a life form. We're messing a lot of stuff up here. Um, but anyway, there's got to be something out there. Look at the thousands of different species of animals on our planet. Look at the fish in the ocean. Look at an octopus. If anything looks like an alien, what does an octopus look like? You know, you've seen that your whole life. You've seen pictures of it. You know what it is. If there was an alien that with the green, the big head and the big eyes and all that stuff, if that was something that was normally floating around in the ocean and you saw pictures of that growing up, that would be normal to you. So just think of it that way. Dumbing down of education, ufology, New Age psyops, New Age religion. Being a target individual is 100% psychological operation. Well, I shouldn't say 100%. There are some physical things involved, like directed energy weapons, extremely low frequency weapons, you know, stuff like that. Car wrecks, being raped, you know, all that kind of stuff. Old age religion control, implant RFID agenda. If you have received a flu shot ever in your life, you are most likely chipped. Talk to somebody that scans these things and listen to some of their videos talking about different scenarios, and they realized that in some of their studies, some of the statistics they were working on, they realized that some of these people that were implanted who've never had a surgery, never had or never been in the military, never had any kind of elective surgery or emergency surgery or anything like that. The only thing that they've ever had done is a flu shot. And guess where their implant was? Right where they got their flu shot. And I think 90-something% of the people that had only had the flu shot were implanted. Which is why there was a big push for everybody. They were giving away free flu shots. Come in for your free flu shot. You know, a lot of times when things are free, it's not really free. It just seems free. Until you find out later how you paid. Covert mind control assets. Mutilation media. Promotion of horror movies. Man, Dustin Nemos was just talking about how he doesn't watch horror movies anymore. They've gotten so much more bloody, less horror and more blood. I quit watching horror movies. I don't know how long ago. There was so much chaos and destruction and real death, real gore, real horror in the world that I thought, you know what, man, I don't need this in my life. This is not something that I even need to watch anymore. I don't need to watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't need to watch Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't need to. These are horror movies from when I was a kid. I don't need to watch any of that stuff anymore. Watched a scary movie with the kids the other night. It wasn't too bloody, but everybody was watching a movie downstairs, so I just watched it with them. Watched Deadpool. Jeez. That was a funny movie, but God, could you have any more blood, death, and destruction in a comedy movie? I don't know. It's just things have changed, and can't be good for our kids to be watching that stuff. I used to hear people say movies are responsible for this and that, and they're not responsible for a person directly committing an act, but anything that you see in repetition over and over and over and over and over and over again, your mind is going to kind of adjust to that and become desensitized to that, and it won't even be that big of a deal to you. You know, you grow up watching horror movies your whole life, you're going to think not think that that's normal, but you'll just become desensitized to it. Ritual abuse, ritual sacrifice, blood sacrifice. If you haven't listened to any kind of news, any kind of independent journalists talking about this kind of stuff, you need to start doing some research. This is huge right now. It has been for a long time, but it's finally starting to come out. The ritual abuse. Thankfully, I was never sacrificed. Sexual abuse, sex slaves, pedophilia, rape. All of the pedophiles are going to jail right now. They've already nabbed up so many of them. Just heard a story about today that was pretty disappointing about a singer that I kind of liked. And his wife posting pictures of their little babies, little pizza emoji, talking about pedophilia, having connections with people that are convicted pedophiles, and collect strange art of naked kids getting their butt cheeks spread apart and stuff. I mean, it's just disgusting shit. Found out that that person is a person of interest in some pedophilia rings. Sexual abuse. I was drugged and raped. I have a video about that. That's the only time that I recall the scenario of what went down. I could have been drugged multiple other times before that, and never been the wiser because I was drugged and I was out of it. Gender inversion, gender warping. Chelsea Manning. If Chelsea Manning would not have gone through the stalking, harassment, and MK Ultra type trauma-based mind control, I bet she would still be a he. And I'm not that do what you want. I don't have an issue with people choosing how they want to dress, who they want to be with, stuff like that. I still think there's only two genders. But that's just my personal view of it. But a lot of people that go through this type of thing will go through a repetitive, I don't even know what to call it. They'll go through trauma-based mind control. I don't even know what else to call it. I understand it. It's hard for me to explain without telling my personal story, but they try to get me to go the other way too. Proliferation and cover-up of pedophilia and rape networks, and prolific pedophiles, rapists. There's, like I said, there's a lot of those people going down right now. Gender inversion, gender warping. Oh, jeez. Sorry, everybody. Promotion of bigotry, misogyny, and misandry. I don't even know what that word means. Mind control and sex slavery with the music industry. Yeah, Miley Cyrus. Just talking about her earlier. She was hanging out in Norman, Oklahoma when I lived there, hanging out with Wayne Coyne. There was a bunch of odd stuff going on there. Down on Main Street. 3 doors down from my art gallery, getting tattoos. They were partying with the governor's daughter, Mary Fallon's daughter. She was in some band. They'd come hang around. Her boyfriend was in a band. He called himself the Stone Pony. He tried to pick up on me and my wife when we had first gone to visit. He invited us both to, hey, you want to get out of this place? Let's us three go get a drink. Yeah. Thanks, man. What are you going to put in it? These people were all friends of friends that I hung out with. Promotion of bigotry, misogyny, and misandry. Control Hollywood mainstream media. Yes. I've been so disappointed over the last few months that I've realized that basically to get into Hollywood you have to be a freak. You have to give in to these things they do, or else you're not getting a spot. That pisses me off because there's so many good actors, actresses, musicians out there that could have made it, should have made it, but they weren't into doing whatever weird shit that they were told they're gonna have to do, and so they are a waitress somewhere or uh, you know doing whatever they're doing other than what their talent is. And